Hey everyone! If you want to learn CSS, this is the course for you. I'll be teaching this comprehensive CSS course for beginners. If you've already taken our HTML course, this is a great next step. HTML course link is available in the description. If you wouldn't mind, please like, comment and subscribe. Please click on the bell icon to enable notifications. One like equals one prayer for the YouTube algorithm. Let's start the video. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's a styling language used to control the appearance of web pages. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen or in other media. Think of it as the fashion designer for your website, allowing you to dress up your HTML content and make it visually appealing. CSS enhances the appearance and presentation of your web pages. Let's understand it by an example. When it comes to building a website, I like to compare it to building a house. Just like a house, a website needs three essential elements: structure, style, and functionality. HTML provides the structure for our website. It's like the skeleton or frame of a house. It defines the layout, sections, headings, and paragraphs, giving our website its basic structure. CSS comes into play when we want to add style and visual appeal to our website. It's like the colors, decorations, and lighting in a house. With CSS, we can choose the colors, style images, hover effect, add animation, make website responsive fit on all devices, and add all sorts of visual elements to make our website look beautiful and attractive. Lastly, we have JavaScript, which adds functionality to our website. In house analogy, this would be similar to the plumbing, heating, and electricity. JavaScript allows us to create interactive elements, handle user interactions, perform calculations, and make our website come alive with dynamic features. Let's explore my website together. I built this website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Without CSS, the website appears unorganized, with elements not properly placed and lacking vibrant colors. However, it lacks the visual appeal that CSS brings. Now, let's add CSS file to our website and see the magic happen. With CSS, we have the power to style everything on our site, including colors, backgrounds, borders, images, and text placement. We can even make cool effects like changing the border of a box when it's hovered over. CSS gives us the ability to create visually stunning experiences. You may have noticed that when I scroll on a website, all the content scrolls with a captivating effect. I accomplished this by utilizing JavaScript. If you want to make the website work well on smaller devices, you can do that using CSS. When we combine HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we can build websites that are both functional and visually appealing. Before we start writing CSS, let's make sure we have the necessary tools. In this course, we'll be using the Chrome browser, which you can download from google.com/Chrome. We'll also need a code editor, and we'll be using Visual Studio Code. You can also use other code editors like Atom, Sublime Text. But I like VS Code. To get started with VS Code, head over to code.visualstudio.com/download and download the appropriate version for your operating system. Since I'm using Windows, I'll install the Windows version. Once the download is complete, open the installation file and proceed with the installation steps. During the installation, I suggest selecting all the options and click on Next and then installing. At the end, check the Launch and Finish. Finally, launch VS Code to begin. Upon launching VS Code, I highly recommend downloading the Live Server extension. To download the Live Server extension, go to the Extensions tab in VS Code, search for Live Server, and install the version that appears. This extension allows you to save your HTML documents and immediately see the changes by refreshing the web page. Once the extension is installed, we can proceed. Now, let's create a new folder for your CSS project. Under the Explorer tab in VS Code, click on Open Folder and choose a location where you'd like to create the folder. For convenience, I'll create the folder on my desktop and name it Learn CSS. Now, click on this icon to create files. In this folder, I will create two files, the first one HTML file with the name website.html and the second CSS file with the name website.css. We have created two files in a folder. Now we can write HTML and CSS code. If you found this helpful, please support me by liking the video, leaving comments, and subscribing to my channel. In today's video, we will explore various methods of writing CSS. To get the starter code, use exclamation sign and hit the Enter key. When it comes to applying CSS to HTML elements, there are three ways you can do it: inline, internal, or external. Out of these, the external method is the best, especially for larger websites. To demonstrate, let's work with a simple web page. We'll create a title using the h1 header tags. This is my first website. Additionally, we'll add two paragraphs using the p tags and some lorem ipsum text for demonstration purposes. Lorem ipsum is a dummy text commonly used in design and typesetting. It allows you to generate paragraphs of various lengths. For example, if you want a 30-word paragraph, simply type lorem 30 and hit Enter. You'll instantly have a paragraph with 30 words. Similarly, you can generate paragraphs of different lengths by specifying the desired number. Now, let's explore the inline method. You can apply CSS properties directly within the opening tag of the element you want to style. Just add the style attribute and set it equal to the CSS properties you want to apply, enclosed in quotes. For example, let's change the background color of the web page. Within the opening body tag, add style equals background color, pink. To keep it simple, let's stick with color names for now. Here, this line of code is called declaration. The name before colon is called property. And after colon we set the values. Now I want to center the heading and paragraphs. For that I can use text-align property with center. Our heading and paragraphs are in the center of the page. Next, let's make the h1 header tag red. In opening tag of h1, use style attribute, use color property and give it red color. Now give background color to heading. It may be white. Now, for the paragraphs, we can apply multiple CSS properties. Within the opening p tag, add style equals background color. After colon, set desired background color, which is green-yellow. And other properties, with any other CSS properties you'd like to apply, separated by semicolons. Apply one more property, it may be color. White. To save some time, we can copy the style attribute and paste it for other paragraph. This is an example of inline CSS, where we apply CSS properties directly within the HTML tags. Before talking about internal CSS, let's comment this code. Now talk about internal CSS. We can use internal style sheets. Inside the head section of your HTML document, you'll need to add a pair of style tags. Within these tags, you can specify the element you want to style, such as the body, followed by curly braces. Inside the curly braces, you can list the CSS properties you want to apply, like background color. Tomato. Make sure to save your changes and refresh the page. Let's apply CSS to the h1 header tag using an internal style sheet. Inside the style tags, specify the h1 element and within its curly braces, add the CSS property color. White. Repeat the same process for the paragraph tags. Select p tag by writing p in the style tag. In curly braces, add CSS property color. Blue. This is how we can add internal CSS. The last and most recommended method of applying CSS is by using an external style sheet. To do this, we have already created a separate CSS file with the name website.css. Next, we copy all the CSS rules from our internal style sheet and paste them into the website.css file. We can now remove the style tags from our HTML file. To link our HTML file with the CSS file, we need to add a link element within the head section. The rel attribute is set to stylesheet, indicating the relationship between the linked documents. The ref attribute specifies the relative file path of our CSS file. In our case, the name of CSS file is website.css. By using an external style sheet, we can apply the same styles to multiple HTML pages. For example, if we create a new HTML document called new.html, we can link it to the same CSS file by same process. This allows us to make changes to our website by modifying the CSS file, and the changes will be applied to all linked HTML pages. Using external style sheets is convenient and efficient, as it allows us to manage styles for our entire website from a single file, making updates and changes easier to implement. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates, and leaving random comments. In this video, we will discuss about fonts. Using a font that is easy to read is important. In HTML, we have one H1 element and one paragraph element. To change the font family of whole web page, select the whole page by body word. Use the font family property. When it comes to web fonts, sans serif fonts are often recommended as they look great on websites. There's a default sans serif font that browsers use if a specific font is not supported. These are called web-safe fonts. Web-safe fonts are fonts that are considered safe to use because they are commonly installed on browsers, like Arial, Verdana, Tahoma, Times New Roman, Georgia, and more. Any of them you can use as web-safe. Typically, people list multiple font options as a contingency plan. I'll list 3 fonts as an example. One font I like is Arial. VS Code offers a range of fonts. You can choose from this list, although the selection is limited. In case a browser doesn't support this Arial font, we can write another font just after comma. It may be Verdana and sans serif. The next font on the list will be used. These are web-safe fonts. If you want to explore open source fonts, a great resource is fonts.google.com. You can search for fonts you like. Just click on search bar, and such as AudioWide. Once you find a font, you'll need to link this font in your HTML file. Click on it and then copy the link and paste it in the head section of your HTML document. In this way you can add font to your website. Now, let's apply the font to the heading of our web page. Select the H1 tag, use the font family property, and set it to the desired font, like AudioWide. To be prepared for unsupported fonts, we can list backup options. For example, we can list consoles and sans serif as alternatives. The browser will try to use the first font, and if it's not available, it will move on to the next one. There are more things you can do with fonts. You can make the H1 italic with font style and set it to italic. Change the font weight to bold. To make the text underline, add text decorations like underlines. We have more options to style underline. We can use wavy or dotted. Let's remove it and move further. And even select a color for the text decoration, such as red. Furthermore, you have the flexibility to adjust the font size in VS Code, allowing you to set it to 40 pixels. It's important to note that if you don't set the font size of the font by default is 16 pixels. Another method to specify the font size is by using em. Many developers use em instead of pixels. For instance, if you want to set it to 40 pixels, it would be equivalent to 2.5 em, as 16 pixels is equal to 1 em. Another method to specify the font size is by using VW unit. Let's set it to 10 VW, which means the viewport width. That way the text size will follow the size of the browser. In simple words, to make the text responsive, we can use VW unit. That's it. Now you know how to change and style the font of your web page using CSS. The font combination you choose plays a significant role in your website's user experience. It helps establish your brand identity and impacts how visitors perceive your site. I highly recommend using 2 fonts, avoiding the use of more than 2. You have the freedom to select any font pair that suits your website. Let's take a look on example font pair like Ubuntu for headings and Laura for paragraphs, to improve readability and visual appeal. Unique fonts, such as Ubuntu, draw attention and add a stylish touch, while paragraph fonts like Laura ensure comfortable reading. Combining Ubuntu and Laura adds variety and enhances the overall visual appeal of your website. Remember, keeping it to 2 fonts creates a cohesive and engaging design. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates, and leaving random comments. Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss link styling using CSS. We'll be exploring some straightforward code that will enable you to customize your links effortlessly. Let's dive right in. In HTML, let's take p tag and write some text. Maybe this is the Google link. To make this text a link, you can wrap this text in a tag or anchor tag. Now set the link of Google site in ref. If you click on this link, you will go to Google website. Let's begin by looking at unvisited links. By using the link selector, we can specifically target links that users haven't clicked on yet. In our code, we'll set the link color to red and remove the default underline. By using text decoration, none. Now, let's move on to visited links. Using the visited selector, we can style links that users have already clicked on. In our code, we'll change the link color to green and ensure there is no underline by using text decoration, none. Next, let's add some interactivity with the hover effect. When users hover over a link, we can make it stand out by changing its color. By utilizing the hover selector, we'll set the link color to hot pink and add an underline using text decoration, underline. When the cursor hovers over the link, its color will transition to pink and an underline will become visible. Lastly, we'll focus on the selected link style. These are links that are currently being clicked on. By using the active selector, we'll change the link color to Dodger blue and maintain the underline using text decoration, underline. If the link is clicked and held, its active state, color will transform to blue and an underline will also become visible. When setting the style for several link states, there are some order rules. Hover must come after link and visited. Active must come after hover. It means, at first number link, then visited, then hover, at the end active. And there you have it. With just a few lines of CSS code, you can easily style your links and create a visually appealing user experience. Remember, you can always customize the background colors and adjust other properties to suit your design preferences. To move further, remove all the code. Let's explore how you can easily change the cursor appearance on your website using CSS. We'll start by taking the span tag and adding a cursor style to it. Simply write the style attribute and set the cursor property. Now, let's duplicate this span 7 times to demonstrate different cursor styles. CSS offers a variety of cursor styles to improve user experience. One popular style is pointer, which changes the cursor to a hand when hovering over links or buttons. Another common style is default. Use BR tag for line break when we hover on it, which represents the regular cursor. For a progress-like effect, we can use the progress style. When we hover on it, progress sign will display with. Additionally, there's the crosshair style, which displays a plus sign when hovering over an element, perfect for precision selection. To indicate text selector sign, it's like we can use by text style. Next, we have the help style, which shows a cursor with a question mark, useful for providing information. Next, we have the move style, which shows this move sign. Next, we have the auto style, which shows this auto sign. And there you have it. There are much more different types of cursors you can use for links. With just a few lines of CSS, you can easily change the cursor appearance and enhance your website's user experience. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates, and leaving random comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Hey there, welcome back to this video. Today, I'll show you how to add borders to HTML elements. It's pretty simple. In HTML, we have one heading and one paragraph. To create a border, we need to set the border style. By default, it's set to none. However, we can change it to different styles like solid, dashed, dotted, and more. Let's start by trying the solid. Use border style property and set it to solid. This will apply a plain and continuous border. Now, let's switch to the dashed style and see how it looks. This style will give us a border with dashed lines. Finally, let's try the dotted style. This will create a border with small dots. You can also adjust the border width using pixels. Let's set it to 5 pixels. If you want to change the color of the border, you can use the property border color. You can pick any color you like. In this case, I'll stick with tomato. Additionally, you can round the corners of the border by setting a border radius. Let's set the border radius to 8 pixels. The higher the number, the smoother the rounding. To add some spacing between the text and the border, you can use padding. Padding value will be 20 pixels. This gives a bit of breathing room. Now, let's focus on the H1 header tag. You can specify different border sides, such as top, bottom, left, and right. For example, I'll set the border top style to dotted, and the border bottom style as well, just to make it look cool. We can even customize the left side border by specifying border left style, solid. Also set width and color by using border width and border color. I'll set it to 10 pixels with a blue color. So that's how you add borders to HTML elements. You can customize them by changing the style, width, color, radius, and even specific sides like the top, bottom, left, or right. To simplify the border code, you can use the border shorthand property, which combines the border width, style, and color into a single declaration. Let's use the border property and set the border width to 5 pixels. Then, you can specify the border style as solid, dashed, or dotted, and for this example, we'll use the solid style. Finally, you can define the color of the border, such as green. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates, and leaving random comments. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll show you some cool things we can do with backgrounds using CSS. I'm going to demonstrate how to change the background color, create a linear gradient, and use an image as our background. Let's take a less than h1 tag with some text, it may be learning CSS, and a less than p tag with some dummy text. Begin by selecting the entire body using the body keyword. Then, make a simple adjustment by modifying the background color property according to your preferred color. For example, let's go with the light blue color. For a stylish gradient effect, use the background property with the value linear gradient. Inside the parentheses, add 2 or more colors like light gray and light blue, each color separated by comma. To include an additional color, simply add the name of the color after the comma. In this case, the color will be tomato. In this way, you can add more colors. To customize the gradient's direction, you have the option to include specific keywords in parentheses before the colors. For example, you can use to top, to bottom, to left, or to right. The color on our web page is repeating, and we need to fix it. To prevent the background from repeating, set the background repeat property to no repeat. If you want the background to stay fixed even while scrolling, use the background attachment property and set it to fixed. Let's apply these styles to the h1 header tag and the p tag. Just copy the code and paste it below in the h1 and p tags. Now move further. I have an image that I downloaded from the internet. For an image background, use the background image property with the value URL followed by the file name or external URL of the image. In our case, image name is img.jpg. To resize and position the image, you can use the same properties which we used for gradients like background repeat, background attachment. To make the image responsive, set the background size property to cover. The background image is scaled to cover the entire content area. That's it. With CSS, you can create amazing backgrounds by setting the color, gradient, or image. In future videos, I will teach you how to make images more responsive in a detailed and easy to understand manner. We will also cover other related topics to help you enhance your image skills. Stay tuned to learn more. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Hey, welcome back. In this video, we'll explore the concept of margins and padding in web design. To begin, let's create 2 boxes by adding an div element with the ID of box 1 and box 2. Inside each box, we'll generate some dummy content using the lorem keyword. In our CSS document, let's style the first div We'll give them a border of 5 pixels. The style will be solid, and the color black. A width and height of 300 pixels. And a font size of 25 pixels. At the end, set the background color, such as tomato, and change the color of the text to white. Now copy this code and paste it below for box 2. Just change the color for text 2. It may be green-yellow. Remove the color property. Now, let's focus on margins. Margins are used to create the space around an element. By default, there's a small margin from the left side. Remove this margin and make the boxes touch the sides of the viewport. We can set the margin of the body element to 0 pixels. Now these boxes are touching the size of the viewport. Margins are used to create the space around an element, but the margin is easily confused with padding. Next, let's briefly touch on padding. Padding is the space between the content and the border of an element. We can add padding to our boxes to see this space. Set padding to 40 pixels will create space between the content and the border of 40 pixels. The padding property applies a padding of 40 pixels to all sides of the box. If we have the specific requirement of applying different padding values to all sides, for the top side, we can use the padding top property and set it to 40 pixels. For the right side, we can use the padding right property and set it to 70 pixels. Similarly, for the bottom side, we can use the padding bottom property and set it to 30 pixels. And for the left side, we can use the padding left property and set it to 90 pixels. Here's another tip: if you need to set different padding values for each side of an element, you can achieve this by using a single line of code with 4 values. Let's comment this code. Padding 40 px, 70 px, 30 px, 90 px. In this format, the first value corresponds to the top padding, the second to the right padding, the third to the bottom padding, and the fourth value corresponds to the left padding. Now comment this line of code to move further. We can also set margins for specific sides of an element. For example, we can set a top margin of 60 pixels for one of the boxes, which will push down any elements below it. The same applies to the left and bottom margins. However, since there's nothing to the right of the box, the right margin won't have any effect. To apply the same margin to all sides of an element, we can use the shorthand notation. For instance, setting margin 60 px will apply a 60 pixel margin to all sides. This will apply a 60 pixel margin to all sides of the element. In CSS, it is important to mention that you can set negative values for margins as well. This allows you to adjust the spacing around elements in a flexible manner. But you cannot use negative values for padding. Here's another tip: if you need to set different margin values for each side of an element, you can achieve this by using a single line of code with 4 values. Margin 30 px, 50 px, 70 px, 100 px. Let's change the last value, it may be 200 pixels. In this format, it will work the same as padding. The first value corresponds to the top margin, the second value to the right margin, the third value to the bottom margin, and the fourth value to the left margin. By specifying these values in the specified order, you can easily set different margin values for each side of the element. You can use percentages instead of pixels for margins. Set margin left to 40%. This margin will use up as much space as 40% width of our window. Here's a handy trick: if you want an element to stick to the right-hand side of your window, you can set the margin to auto. This will automatically calculate the margin on the left-hand side, pushing the element to the right. This entire space will be considered as a margin. Similarly, you can achieve the same effect by using margin right, auto, which will make the element stick to the left-hand side. Here's a neat trick: if you set both margin left and margin right to auto, the element will stay horizontally centered in the middle of your document. This means the margins on the left and right will automatically adjust to evenly distribute the space and keep the element centered. It's a simple way to achieve a balanced and centered layout. That was a brief overview of margins and padding. Margin properties are responsible for defining the space around an element. It's important to remember that padding specifically refers to the space between the content and the border of the element. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to leave any questions or suggestions in the comments below. Hello everyone. Today, we will discuss the float property. The float property is used for positioning and formatting content. It is commonly used to wrap elements around images. In HTML we have 2 images and 1 paragraph elements. I think it would look nicer if the text went around these images. To do that, I can use the float property on the element I want. When we set elements to float, they are taken out of the regular flow of the document, and other elements will wrap around them. If we float images to the left, they will align towards the top left corner. The image float to the left in the paragraph, and the text in the paragraph wrap around the image, giving the impression of reading from left to right. On the other hand, if we float them to the right, the reading direction will be from right to left. Let me give you another example. Images are considered inline elements. Let's try another example with block-level elements. We will create 4 boxes. Let's take 4 div tags and give them the class container. To style the boxes, we can select the class using a dot followed by the class name. The boxes will have a width of 150 pixels and height of 150 pixels. Now, go to HTML file and insert the text box within each div element. We'll add a border of 2 pixels with a solid line, and to center the text inside the box, we will use Text Align Center. Set the font size to 35 pixels for easy reading. And we'll choose a background color like green-yellow. Divs are big blocks that take up the entire width of our screen. Let's resize the boxes by adjusting their width and height to 80 pixels. If we use the float property on our container class, it will make the divs move around and other elements will adjust accordingly. They will float and wrap around from left to right and top to bottom, depending on the direction we choose to float them. Use right to float them right. If you want to stop things from floating, you can use the clear property. Select P element. If we're floating to the right, we can set the clear property to right. And if we're floating to the left, we can set it to left. Alternatively, you can set it to both. So, to sum up, the float property positions an element on the left or right side of a container, and it's often used to wrap things around images. If you need to stop the floating effect, you can use the clear property, as demonstrated here. That's the float property. If you have found this video to be helpful, you can show your support by giving it a thumbs up, leaving comments down below, and subscribing to join our community. Hi there, welcome back. In this video, we're going to discuss CSS positioning, which is super important when building a website. We'll begin by making one box using the div tag. We'll label the box as box 1. To add a scroll bar, we'll include 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph, with about 50 words of dummy text, will come before the div tag. We can easily generate this text using the lorem50 command. Additionally, we'll create another paragraph after the div tag, this time with 500 words. We can quickly generate this text using the lorem500 command. Now let's design box 1. We'll give it a solid border of 3 pixels with the color green, a height of 200 pixels, and a width of 200 pixels. Border radius is 10 pixels. And you can choose any background color. I like light coral. CSS has a special property called position that lets us change how elements are arranged on a web page. There are 5 positions we can use, and we'll talk about each of them: absolute, fixed, relative, static, and sticky. If we use static, it is the default position, and it doesn't change the element's position. It remains in its normal state. With relative positioning, we can move an element relative to its original position. For example, if we want to move the element 50 pixels down and to the right, we can set the top offset to 50 pixels and the left offset to 50 pixels as well. This creates a space where the element was originally. Next, we have absolute positioning, which takes the element out of the document's flow. If we set box 1 to an absolute position, you'll notice that the text goes underneath it. Currently, it seems like the text is not paying attention to box and is ignoring it. We can set the top position to 0 to place the box at the top of the document. If you set the value of right to 0, the box will appear at the top right corner of the page. Now, let's change the values to 200 pixels for both top and left. This will position the box 200 pixels down from the top and 200 pixels from the left side of the page. What will happen if we set a box as a relative position as a parent? Let's add another box using a div tag with the class name box2 inside box 1. You can copy the code from above and paste it for box 2. Change the background color to purple and set the width and height to 50 pixels. For box 2, apply the CSS property position, absolute. Also, change the positioning of the first box to position, relative. To check the positioning of the small box inside the large, that comes in box 2. Set the top value to 150 pixels. And the left value to 150 pixels. Now, let's change the values of top and left for the first box to 300 pixels. By modifying the values of box 1, both boxes will move together as they are linked. Now, you will notice that box 2 changes its position concerning its parent box. It means the absolutely positioned element searches for non-statically positioned parents. If it doesn't find any, it uses the full page as the reference. That's the concept behind absolute positioning. To move further, let's remove the CSS of box 2. Also, remove it from HTML. Now discuss other properties. To discuss other properties, increase the length of the above paragraph. Next, we have fixed positioning. An element with a fixed position stays in place relative to the viewport even when you scroll. To make an element stay fixed at the top of the page, simply set the top property to 0 pixels. If you wish to fix the box specifically at the top right corner of the page, you can achieve this by using the right property with 0 pixels, in combination with the top property. Finally, we have sticky positioning. An element with a sticky position sticks to the edge of the viewport when you scroll past it. For example, if we set it to the top 0 pixels, it will stick to the top of the page as you scroll down, and it will snap back into place when you scroll back up. You can also make it stick to the bottom by using bottom 0 pixels. When you scroll up, it will stick to the bottom. You can combine both options. When you scroll down, it will stick to the top, and when you scroll up, it will stick to the bottom. So, these are a few positions in CSS. I hope this simplified explanation helped you. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hey there, Welcome back to our CSS tutorial series. In today's video, we're going to dive into a very important topic, pseudo classes. A pseudo class serves the purpose of defining a unique state of an element. So let's get started. In HTML, let's take the p tag and write some text. Maybe this is the YouTube link. To make this text a link, you can wrap this text in a tag or anchor tag. Now set the link of the YouTube site in ref, https://www.youtube.com. When you click on the link, it will redirect you to the YouTube website. We have already covered these pseudo classes in the fourth video of this series, which is about link formatting. Let's begin by looking at unvisited links. By using the link selector, we can specifically target links that users haven't clicked on yet. In our code, we'll set the link color to tomato. Now, let's move on to visited links. Using the visited selector, we can style links that users have already clicked on. We'll change the link color to blue. When we visit this link, its color will change. Next, let's add some interactivity with the hover effect. When users hover over a link, we can change its color. By utilizing the hover selector, we'll set the link color to green. When you hover the cursor over the text, its color will change to green. Lastly, we'll focus on the selected link style. These are links that are currently being clicked on. By using the active selector, we'll change the link color to red. When you click and hold on it, the color will change to red. Pseudo classes are a way to give a special state to an element. To do this, we select an element and add a class after a colon to define its unique state. These are pseudo classes. Let's work with a div tag that contains the text hover me. We will style this div by setting its text color to white and the background color to black. To add an interactive effect, using the div hover pseudo class, we can change its background color to yellow. When we hover over this text, the background will transition from black to yellow. To move further, let's comment out all of the code. Alright, let's talk about lists and how we can style them using CSS pseudo classes. First, let's start with unordered lists, which are lists without any specific order. We can use the lead tag to create list items, with the text item 1. Now, let's copy this item and paste it 14 times to create a list of 15 items. Let's change the numbering from 1 to 15. Now, there's a useful CSS feature called the nthchild pseudo class. We can change the background color of selected elements using this nthchild pseudo class. To select any item from the list, we can target the li element and use the nthchild pseudo class selector after the colon. Set the background color to green-yellow. This allows us to choose and style any specific item from the list. For example, if we want to select the first element, we use 1 in the nthchild. We can also select other elements by changing the number. This is handy when using JavaScript, as we can use variables to dynamically select items from the list. We can also style even and odd siblings differently. For example, we can make the background color of even siblings Dodger blue. To save time, copy this code for odd items. Let's write the word odd for each odd item. And the background color of odd siblings is light gray. This helps us alternate the highlighting of elements for better readability. So, these are pseudo classes keywords that help us select and style specific elements based on their position or pattern within a list. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates, and leaving random comments. Let's talk about shadows. Make sure to watch the entire video because I have a website recommendation for you to create shadows. It's a useful tool you won't want to miss. In HTML we have one h1 tag and one paragraph tag. There are two types, text shadows and box shadows. Text shadows are applied to text elements. The first set color of the text is white. Now use the text shadow property and set 3 numbers to 0. You can choose any color for the shadow. Like black, after numbers. The first number represents the horizontal position. Let's change the value to 3 pixels, positive moves right. Negative moves left. The second number represents the vertical position. Same value for this one, positive moves below. Negative moves above. The third number controls the spread, but setting it too high might make the shadow barely visible. A spread value of around 10 is usually good. To create different effects, you can add multiple shadows. For instance, if you want to make white text appear clearly with a blue color, you can use a blue shadow with 0 values for the first 2 numbers to surround the text and a spread value of 25 pixels. To include additional shadows, simply place them after the comma. Another option is to use a dark blue shadow with a spread value of 5 pixels. We acquire an amazing text shadow effect. Now, let's delve into box shadows. Box shadows utilize the same values as text shadows but are applied to the entire element. For instance, we can apply a box shadow to a P element. To begin, we can set the width of the element to 250 pixels and add a padding of 20 pixels for spacing purposes. When we apply the box shadow, it will appear around the element. If we specify 2 values of 10 pixels with the color green, the shadow will be positioned towards the right and bottom of the element. However, if we use 0 for the first value which represents the horizontal position, and positive values such as 4 pixels for the second value which represents the vertical position, and 20 pixels for the third value which represents the spreading of the color, we will achieve this shadow effect. That covers the basics of text shadows and box shadows. Get ready for an exciting website. I've discovered an amazing website called shadows.brum.af that will take your designs to the next level. It's super simple to use and allows you to create captivating shadows with just a few clicks. Visit shadows.brum.af and prepare to be amazed by the stunning effects you can achieve. Don't miss out on this game changer. The link is in the video description below. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates and leaving random comments. Hey everyone! In this video, I'll introduce you to 2 fantastic websites for icons that are free to use. We'll also learn how to utilize these websites. So, let's get started. The first website is Font Awesome, and it's completely free to use. I like this website for icons. To begin, you'll need a link to add Font Awesome icons to your website. Here's a simple way to do it. Go to Google and search for the Font Awesome CDN link. Click on the first link that appears in the search results. You'll find multiple links. Copy the first link provided. Now, open your HTML file. In the head section, take the link tag and paste the copied link here. Now, you can add Font Awesome icons to your website. Open Font Awesome site. You can start searching for icons. Go to the Icons section. You can find a wide variety of icons, both free and paid. Let's say we want a thumbs up icon. To view only free icons, make sure you have clicked on the free option. Click on the icon you like. You have the option to customize icons by adjusting their size to extra large, or changing the background color to blue. Additionally, you can add animations to the icons, as there are numerous options available for you to choose from. Click on the code to copy it and paste it somewhere within the body of your document. Great! You now have a thumbs up icon on your page. You can search for more icons and follow the same process. For example, let's find a Twitter icon. Copy the HTML code and paste it into your document. You can also style these icons using CSS. To change the color of the Twitter icon, copy this class FA square Twitter, paste it in CSS with the dot, and use the color property, it may be the tomato. If you want to increase the size of the icon, you can achieve it using the font size property. Set its value to 30 pixels. That's great. Get back to the Font Awesome site. Let's search for car icons. Click on this one. Copy the provided HTML code and paste it into your document. You can also apply CSS to style these icons. To modify the color of the car icon, copy the class FA car side and paste it into your CSS. Set the color to light blue and adjust the font size to 45 pixels. If you want to turn these icons into clickable links, simply wrap them with anchor tags. And set the href attribute to the desired URL. Let's try adding a URL to the Twitter site. When you click on the icon, it will take you to the Twitter website. Here's another method to use Font Awesome icons. Get back to the Font Awesome site. Download all the files and utilize them offline. Just click on the download button and then click the free for web button. The download will begin, and once it's finished, extract the downloaded file. Within the extracted files, locate the CSS and web fonts files. There are two essential files we need. One is the CSS file, and the other is the web fonts file. Copy these two files and paste them into your project files. Open the CSS file and delete all the other files except for the all file. We only need the first file. Remove all the other files. Next, remove the corresponding line from the HTML file's head section. You will notice that the icons are no longer visible on your website. To fix this, use a link tag and provide the path to the all file within the CSS folder. In this way, you can use Font Awesome icons by downloading the necessary files. Another website you can utilize for icons is ionic.io. Go to Google and search for Ion icons and click on this website. Adding icons from this website works in a similar way as Font Awesome. So, to use the website, click on the usage link. Simply copy the code provided and paste it within the head section of your HTML document. Remove all the code. Come back to the website now and navigate to the icon section. With numerous icons to choose from, you can select the specific icon that meets your requirements or preferences. Copy the provided code snippet and paste it anywhere within the body of your document. This will display the chosen icon on your website. That's it. You now know how to use Font Awesome icons and style them using CSS. If you found this video helpful, please show your support by liking the video, leaving a comment, and subscribing to my channel. Today we're talking about the CSS transform property. It lets you do cool things with elements, like moving them around, rotating them, making them bigger or smaller, and even distorting them. Let's start by creating a basic box using a div element. Inside this box, we'll have the text code. In the style sheet, I'll select div and apply the following properties. A width and height of 250 pixels each. A border of 4 pixels solid with the color black. We'll align the text to the center. Let's increase the font size to 100 pixels for a larger text. Choose a background color. I like yellow. To work with transformations, we can use the transform property. You can select a transformation of your choice. The list contains numerous available options. Let's begin with the Translate X transformation, where you specify the number of pixels to move the element along the x-axis. For example, setting it to 80 pixels, it will translate the element to the right, while a negative value will move it to the left, along the x-axis. Next, let's explore the Translate Y transformation. Copy this for Translate Y, which moves elements up or down along the y-axis. You can also combine both transformations by using Translate and providing two values, within the parentheses, 60 pixels for the first and 100 pixels after a comma. The first value is for the horizontal x-axis, and the second value is for the vertical y-axis. We can also rotate elements on different axes. For instance, to rotate around the x-axis, we can use the Rotate X property with an angle, like 120 degrees. Similarly, for the y-axis, we can change the value to 200 degrees. And for the z-axis, we can use an angle of 180 degrees. These are some rotation options available in CSS. To learn more, comment out this section to move forward. Scaling is another transformation option. The scale is used to increase or decrease the size of an element. You can scale an element along the x-axis using Scale X. The default value is 1, and increasing it to 2 would stretch the element to twice its original width. The same applies to scaling along the y-axis using Scale Y. To apply scaling in both directions, you can simply use Scale and provide two values, the same as translations. The first value stretches the element along the x-axis and the second for the y-axis. Skewing is another cool feature. You can skew an element horizontally using Skew X with an angle, for example, 45 degrees. Similarly, you can skew it vertically using Skew Y. To skip this section, please comment out these two lines. Moreover, you can combine both skewing effects by using the skew and providing two values, like 30 degrees for both horizontal and vertical skewing. Another complex transformation option is the matrix transformation. In the matrix, we can pass 6 values. These may be 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. 0. The matrix is a powerful tool that combines all the 2D transform methods into one, like rotation, scaling, translation, and skewing. The first value represents the scale X, second value skew Y. The third skew X, fourth scale Y, fifth translate X, and sixth translate Y. The first and fourth values control scaling, so let's make the element 3 times bigger. The last two values are for translation, translate X and translate Y. So we'll move the element 200 pixels from left and from top. To see the effect of translation, let's reduce the size of the element. The second value controls the skew along the y-axis, and the third value controls the skew along the x-axis. Let's change one value to 0.4 and the other value to 0.6. I recommend using separate values instead of the matrix method. It's easier to work with properties like translate X, skew Y, rotate Y, etc., rather than using the matrix method, which can be confusing. One thing you may have noticed about the matrix transformation is that we don't need to use units, like degree, with the values. We use degree for skewing and rotating, but with the matrix transformation, we can simply provide the values without any units. Here are some easy transformations you can use in CSS. If you found this video helpful, I kindly request your support by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, activating the notification bell for future video updates. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, we're exploring the main topic for animation, which is CSS transitions. By making elements grow, fade, or slide, transitions add a beautiful touch to your designs. So, let's not waste any time and dive right in. Let's start by creating a simple box using a div element. In our style sheet, we'll select the div element and apply the following properties: a width of 150 pixels, a height of 150 pixels, a background color of Dodger blue, and a cursor with the value pointer. Now, let's specify a new width value for the box when a user hovers over it. Apply hover pseudo class on div. We want the width to increase to 600 pixels. When you hover over the element, its length will increase. To make the transition smooth, we can use the transition property. We'll set the transition property to affect the width property and have a duration of 3 seconds. This means that when we hover over the box, its width will increase to 600 pixels for 3 seconds. We can do the same for the height of the box. When the box is hovered over, specify a height of 300 pixels. In the transition property, we'll set the duration to 5 seconds for height. This means that the height of the box will take 5 seconds to increase to 300 pixels when hovered over. To move further, simply remove the height-related code. We can also control the speed curve of the transition effect. Let's create 5 divs with the class name div1. Copy it and paste it for the other 4 divs. Also, change the class name for each div. Inside each div, we'll add text representing different transition timing functions: linear, ease, ease in, ease out, and ease in out. Separate each box using the margin top property with 10 pixels. Select the first box using the class name div1 and apply the transition timing function property. Now, copy this code and paste it for the remaining boxes, making sure to change the class names accordingly. For the first div, we'll set the value to linear, which means the transition effect will have the same speed from start to end. For the second div, we'll use the value ease, which creates a transition effect with a slow start, then fast, and finally ends slowly. The third div will have the value ease in, resulting in a transition effect with a slow start. The fourth div will have the value ease out, producing a transition effect with a slow end. Finally, the fifth div will have the value ease in out, which creates a transition effect with a slow start and end. Now, let's talk about another property called transition delay. This property specifies a delay in seconds for the transition effect. In our HTML, we'll use a single div and apply the transition delay property with a value of 3 seconds. When hovering over the element, the transition effect starts after a delay of 3 seconds. The box width will return to its normal size after 3 seconds. Instead of using the combined transition properties, we can specify them individually. For example, we can set transition property to width to apply the transition to the width property. Then, we can set the transition duration to 2 seconds, meaning the transition takes 2 seconds to increase the width. We can use the transition timing function with the value linear to control the speed curve of the transition. Lastly, transition delay can be set to 3 seconds, specifying a delay for the transition effect. To make it even simpler, you can simply comment out the code. But here's another way to combine all these properties step by step using the transition property. With the transition property, we can specify each property individually in the order mentioned earlier. First, we set the transition property to width. Then, we set the transition duration to 2 seconds. Next, we set the transition timing function to linear. Finally, we set the transition delay to 3 seconds. So, with just one line of code using the transition property, we can combine all these properties: transition property, transition duration, transition timing function, and transition delay. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced developer, mastering these techniques will take your designs to the next level. So go ahead, experiment, and have fun with CSS transitions. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more web development tutorials, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Hey there! I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be showcasing a variety of simple CSS animations for you to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. An animation is like a smooth transition that makes something look different over time. You can make lots of changes to how something looks using CSS, and you can do it as many times as you want. Let's start by creating a basic animation using CSS. We'll create a box by using a div element with the ID box. Inside the box, we'll add the character W. In our CSS style sheet, we'll set the width of the box to 180 pixels and do the same for its height. We'll also change the background color to #2DCCB8, I like this color. And set the font size to 150 pixels. With text alignment at the center. I like curved borders, for this border radius will be 8 pixels. To make things move in an animation, you can use a special rule called keyframes. Let's give our animation a special name, like test animation. Here you can use two words from and to with the curly braces. The words from and to tell us where the animation starts and ends. Let's set the margin left property to 100%, it means the object will be pushed to the right side of the page. This is how the animation starts. If you set margin left to 0, it means the object will go back to its original position at the end of the animation. In this way, we can create a cool sliding effect from the right side of the page. Now, let's specify the name of this animation using the animation name property, such as test animation. To control how long the animation lasts, we can use the animation duration property. For example, let's set it to 4 seconds. If you want the animation to repeat a specific number of times, you can use the animation iteration count property. You can choose a number like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. For instance, if I set it to 3, the animation will stop after repeating 3 times. On the other hand, if you set it to infinite, the animation will loop continuously without stopping. If you want to control when the animation plays, you can use the animation playstate property. By default, it's set to running, but you can change it to pause the animation at any point. Keep it running to play with animation. You can control the speed curve of the animation using the animation timing function property. There are different options like ease, which is the default option. It means the animation starts slowly, then speeds up in the middle, and finally slows down towards the end. Ease in, with this option, the animation starts slowly and gradually speeds up. Ease out, this option makes the animation start at a regular speed and then slows down towards the end. Or linear, this option keeps a constant speed throughout the entire animation. Additionally, you can also add a delay to the animation using the animation delay property. For example, you can set it to 2 seconds, so the animation starts after 2 seconds. There is a convenient shortcut to apply all 6 of these animation properties together, utilizing the animation property. Let's begin by specifying the name of the animation, which is test animation. Next, set the duration to 4 seconds. Then, you can use the timing function linear for a constant speed. Animation delay will be 2. The iteration count will be infinite. In the end, the animation playstate will be running. We can merge all 6 properties together, following the same sequence as mentioned above. Let's create some exciting color change animations. We'll use the keyframes rule and give our animation a unique name, color change. By using numbers with percentages, we can define keyframes that indicate specific stages. In this example, when the animation starts from 0, the background color will be set to green. As the animation progresses, when it reaches 20%, it will change to red. At the 40% mark, the background color will turn yellow. Moving further, when it reaches 60%, it will transition to light blue. When the animation reaches 80%, the background color will become tomato. Finally, at 100%, it will transform into a beautiful purple. To activate this animation, simply copy the name and paste it above into the animation property. This will trigger the animation. Get ready to add some eye-catching color transitions to your web page. Let's explore a few more animations. How about a rotation effect? We'll name this animation Rotate Animation. You can use percentages to define keyframes. In this example, when the animation starts from 0, apply the transform to rotate 0 degrees. When the animation reaches 100%, you can apply the transform property with a rotation of 360 degrees. To activate this animation, simply copy the name and paste it above into the animation property. Next, we will create flip scale animations. Same as above, use the keyframes rule and name this animation a unique name such as flip scale. In this example, when the animation starts from 0, set the transform property to scale 1 and rotate X value 0 degrees. We'll copy this for both 50% and 100% keyframes. At 50%, change the scale value to 2.5 and rotate X to -90 degrees. Finally, at 100%, you can set the rotate value to -180 degrees and the scale value back to 1. To make the flip scale animation work, simply assign the name flip scale to the animation property. And let's set the animation duration to 1 second. I hope you find this flip animation enjoyable. Now, let's dive into more exciting animations. How about trying out a slide top effect? We'll call this animation slide top. In this example, when the animation starts from 0, you can set the value of the translate Y property to 0. As the animation progresses to 100%, the translate Y value will be set to -100 pixels. To activate this animation, simply copy the name and paste it above into the animation property. To achieve a smooth animation, let's switch the timing function to ease. Let's make focus in animation. To make this type of animation, use the keyframes rule the same as above. We'll name this animation focus in. In this example, when the animation starts from 0, we use the filter property, set the blur to 12 pixels and opacity to 0. When the animation reaches 100%, the blur will be 0 and opacity 1. To activate this animation, simply copy the name and paste it above into the animation property. Change the animation duration to 3 seconds. Let's create a shake animation to add some excitement. We'll use the keyframes rule and name this animation Shake Horizontal. In this example, at 0% and 100%, we'll use transform translate X with a value of 0. Copy this code and paste this for other keyframes as well, specifically at 10%, 30%, 50%, and 70%, where the translate value will be -10 pixels. At 20%, 40%, and 60%, the translate value will be 10 pixels. At 80%, the value will be 8 pixels. And at 90%, it will be minus 8 pixels. To activate the shake animation, simply assign the name Shake Horizontal to the animation property. Change the animation duration to 0.7 seconds. Thank you for joining us today. I'm glad you found this video helpful and enjoyable. Now, it's your time to unleash your creativity and bring these stunning animations to life in your web projects. Remember to hit that like button if you found this video valuable, and don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't miss out on future exciting content. Be sure to subscribe to our channel.